Hello everyone, and hello again if you have been with us since this morning. Welcome to the second SEO Square conference with Stephan Bajaio, previous co-founder of Conductor. First of all, can you tell us on the chat if you can see and hear us well? Stephan, perhaps you would like to say a few words?
Hey
Perfect.
guys, awesome. We're seeing everyone chime in.
Okay, a
Cool.
lot of people. Perfect. So, just before we start, I would like to give you a few details as we have a huge number of participants online. Don't be surprised if a technical problem occurs. Rest assured, you will have access to the recordings. CMG team members are on hand in the chat room to help you if you have any concerns. And before we start, I would like to invite you to ask any question you may have in the question tab so that Stefan can answer them at the end of the conference. He will answer the question with more votes, so don't forget to vote. As there are a lot of us, please observe the rules of decorum and respect for speakers and other participants. That's for you, Stefan.
Awesome. Let's get our slides up on the screen. I think, Antoine, that's a
Yes,
button you need to push,
sure.
and then we will get started.
Here we are. That's okay.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Great. Cool. Thank you all for joining us from around the world. I'm super excited. I'm Stephan Bajaio. We'll get into me in a second, but you're here because no one lies to their search bar and to learn about how search insights can lead to SEO evangelism. So, first things first. One, remove the children from the room. I'm a New Yorker. My intentions are good, but my language is bad. So I'm going to need you all to take the youngins out of the room. Also, if anyone is susceptible to the pain that it is to be an SEO and you are in any form of a state that you could get very upset by realizing how tough your jobs are, you probably don't want to listen to this. However, if you are able to listen to this and willing to move forward with me beyond my advisory notice, I will tell you this. I have some ground rules. This is a virtual conference, therefore I cannot see you. I am giving all of my dad jokes out into the void and I'm not getting responses. So I'm going to need to see those responses in the chat. I need to see when you guys agree, maybe a hallelujah, maybe a 10 instead of a 1 to 10 or 100. I need to feel you guys as much as I can, or else this might as well be the SEO 101 for the nudist conference, which did that land? I don't know if that landed. We're still waiting to see if anyone found that funny. But the point is, even when my jokes fail, I don't know because you guys aren't responding. So make sure to respond in there so I have a sense of what's going on, how you're feeling, because I want to cater this and tailor this presentation to you. That said, let's talk a little bit about who I am. Why am I doing this? Not because I'm egotistical, but rather because I think it's important to give context before I give advice. So, my online life started in 2000, actually 1999, probably building some of the first websites that were e-commerce on the internet. But let's not go all the way back there. We will go to the beginning of my life in search. I joined this little company called Link Experts. It's a link building company. I helped build it to about $1 million of monthly recurring revenue. We are essentially selling links to very big companies to help them rank on the internet. We're being really good about making sure we do the right types of links, but nonetheless, that's what we're doing. We then realized that those major companies we're selling to, well, they don't know how to essentially track the effectiveness of what we have. We're giving them Excel spreadsheets. So Seth Besmartnik, founder of Conductor, decides, hey, listen, we got to do a software. This was $1 million business. This is $1 billion business. Let's go there. So I become a co-founder of Conductor along with a few other people. We start Conductor, the software company, and we launch. We do really well. And as we progress, all of a sudden, I start having to build different groups in the company. I'm building our customer success team. I'm building our upselling team. And I build our pro services team. That's probably the one I'm most proud of. Our professional services team stems from, started off with no one, 2 people straight out of school. And it turns out to be about 65 SEOs globally. So I've run a 65 SEO global agency inside of a software company. I have had the experience of what that means, helping large companies get outside of themselves. And keep in mind that Link Experts part starts in 2008. So I've been around the block a little bit. Along the way, we intersect with WeWork. WeWork is this interesting client that I help bring on, stay until 3 a.m. at the office so I can pitch them. End up building them a team when they come on board of about 7 to 11 people, content writers and SEOs, just for them. Pretty awesome. Then fast forward, WeWork, the rocket ship billion-dollar company, then acquires us. Whoa, live a completely different lifestyle, amazing, lots of stories, won't regale you with them today. Crazy times. Then we buy ourselves back from WeWork before there's kind of an implosion there. At which point, I built out future things. We then end up getting a round of funding as the new company outside of WeWork, valued at about $500 million. I leave Conductor. I go become the CMO of Turnover B&B, rebrand them into Turno. So I go through a migration on the other side. Yay, CMO. Now I know what it feels like to be on the other side of the migration. And then what's coming next? But that you'll have to wait until the end of the presentation. So all this to say, I felt the pleasure and the pain of dealing with some of the world's largest brands. So I know what it's like to go through, well, frankly, the shitty stuff that you have to go through when you're a big company. And it's really hard. I think when I started this, SEO meant Stephan's employment opportunities. So, there's a lot of change since the first days of me telling people I was doing SEO to today. Today, SEO is actually brought up on Shark Tank and other places. But let's get meta for a second. And by that, I don't mean Facebook. I mean, I am about to evangelize to you. So I want you to realize and judge my evangelizing, and I'll get into what evangelizing is in a minute. I want you to learn how to evangelize SEO within your organizations and how to leverage search insights to be more than traditional SEO. So my audience, and again, I may not have covered all audience types, but target audiences are lonely SEO. By the way, I love the fact I could find that icon. SEOs that feel stuck, career-minded marketers, people that want to expand into different groups, visionary marketers. So now if you're not one of those, you should feel bad, and I think I got you. Growth execs, executives who are thinking bigger, thinking about the future of marketing, thinking about where this all goes. So at Conductor, we created this saying, if you're not helping people, you're just selling stuff. In fact, it's on my t-shirt. So what does that really mean? And what does it mean to evangelize? The idea of evangelism, okay, is not some religious thing. It's this idea of you need to provide value before you expect something back. So while I'll go through the pain of what it is to be an SEO in organizations and kind of talk through that today, it's really important to think about evangelism is not about you, it's about them, right? You want to give something to someone that helps them. If you can help them, the expectation is somehow it will make its way back to you. And I can tell you in my career, I have been able to get a lot back. In fact, I only have the rights to stand here today on stage because of the fact that I've given so much. And that's not bragging, that's just the reality, right? And I think it builds for a good career, it builds for a good coworker, it builds for a lot of great things. So keep this in mind as we go through what really evangelism means. Don't lose sight of that as we get into the data. It's too easy to do. All right, so why doesn't this happen, right? Because the shoemaker's children have no shoes. If you've ever heard of this term, it's like an old Italian saying, or at least I like to think it's an old Italian saying. The shoemaker has no shoes, right? Which is this idea, or the shoemaker's children has no shoes, which is this idea of like, we don't take care of those we love because we're so busy taking care of others and taking care of stuff. And by that, I mean, SEOs right now are worried about their target audience out there. They're worried about acquiring organic traffic. They're worried about all of this stuff that moves their metrics forward. But you're not being a marketer first. You're being an SEO first. You've forgotten the idea that to be an SEO is really to be a marketer. And it's not just to be a marketer to the external, it's to be a marketer in the internal. You are not able to accomplish a lot of things as an SEO in your organization because of dependencies if you cannot market to people internally. Therefore, we need to help people, right? Because that's what we said, we're going to evangelize. So this doesn't happen because SEO isn't in the room where decisions are getting made. And that creates a humongous issue, right? And it's not like it's done specifically or on purpose. People aren't going like, ugh, SEO smells, don't let them in the room. It's not a foregone conclusion that SEO should be in the room because it's thought of tactically and it's not thought of as this this kind of all-encompassing type of approach. So because of that, we really need to think of SEO as proactive and reactive, because we sure deal with the consequences of not being in that room where decisions are made, right? So decisions get made in this room and then actions get sent out of that room, right? 15 decisions get made and everyone's sent out to do actions. And then I kind of love this little icon here too. This concept of reactivity, right? We are getting the reactive response out of those decisions that were made somewhere else, and those create SEO consequences. So in order to really, you know, it's easy to say all this, but I want you all to think for a minute. Are you, thank you, I love the hallelujah. Are you guys feeling like you're living a proactive SEO life or a reactive SEO life? Throw it out there. I want to hear it. Pro, reactive, reactive, reactive. Okay, both. Yeah, great. All right, well, we want to probably live a proactive life. So not to really pour salt into the wounds or lemon juice, but let's go over how this kind of comes about, right? So the dev team, this is an old adage kind of, the dev team wants to use a 302 instead of a 301. Why? Because it still moved the user from point A to point B, but we all know that has a negative impact, right, on us. So they're making decisions somewhere, unaware that what their decision is actually harming us. That's a problem. Comes in too late to help. This is a great one. Here's a question. When is the right time to bring SEO into a migration conversation? Anybody? Come on, fast typers. When is the right time to bring an SEO into a migration conversation? Beginning. Yeah, I'd say the moment it's thought about. How's that? Usually an hour before they do, right? Or actually not an hour before they do. 6 months before they do, because they come to the table and like, hey, so we've got this migration and we've already set up all this stuff. And you're like, whoa, hold on a second. Would have been great to know this from the very beginning. Absolutely. So content team, they don't use those target terms, right? We don't want to infringe on their delicate sensibilities. Content writers, it's an art very much. It also can be a science. I think this is starting to change. I love that it's starting to change, but it's something to consider. Especially with AI, think about what it's like to be a content writer right now. It's not easy. It feels like we've just commoditized what we do. You know, let's be cautious about how we deal with our content teams. The brand team or more PR team, we cannot use that term. God forbid we use that term, right? That's a tough one. Oftentimes they'll say no on things, and you're like, what are you guys talking about? And then, of course, the what are you guys talking about comes back in the product team, right? They name that thing something super crazy. Can you SEO this for me? Boom. Worst thing that can be said to an SEO. Can you SEO this for me? So, does anyone agree we're more than digital janitors? We're here to do better than just clean up the messes reactively that other people are throwing. I love the fact I'm hearing amen, haha, yeah, preach, great. Wonderful. This is exactly where we need to be right now. So why does this happen? Well, by the way, all of these, if you want, you can check it out on my own personal website, stephanbajaio.com. Each one of these is pretty much like an entire talk I've had, right? There's misalignment of goals. So we know our goals are misaligned, even within the marketing department, right? KPIs don't work together. They're conflicting. You know, someone's job is to get out as much content as possible. I'm going to them and asking them to re-optimize or optimize an old piece of content that doesn't help them move towards their goal. So there's this conflicting sense of what we're trying to accomplish. And that's an issue even within marketing, right? Forget the rest of the org. But then you also have an organization that's super siloed, right? Organizations by nature are kind of siloed. And so they have different management structures. They have different processes, different methodologies, which, by the way, special note, let's asterisk this in our notebooks because I know you guys are diligently taking notes right now. Put a big asterisk next to this one, put it in bold. Project managers. Project managers are the key. They are usually the ones who decide who's going to be in a meeting. So make sure to get in with the project manager. The project manager will, if they have any sense of what SEO is and how SEO can be used, getting them involved and understanding what you do, 100% important, they will bring you into a lot of meetings that frankly you won't even know are happening. So make sure they're aware if you're in one of those big orgs. Okay, now SEO is tactical, not strategic. People treat it as a small tactic inside of online marketing, inside of marketing, and it doesn't touch the rest of the org, which of course is interesting because the rest of the org creates content by virtue of need. HR, everyone else builds content, and yet somehow we find out about it once it hits publish, or worse, 6 weeks after it hits publish and someone wants to rank it. And then organizational maturity. I built an entire structure that allows you to understand essentially where you are on a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of the maturity of your organization across 8 different columns or pillars that ultimately make that up. So how do we change this conversation? Let's get into it. First of all, we need to talk exec rather than tech. So what does that mean? That means no longer are we going to be in a conference room with executives, CMOs, anyone else for that matter, unless you know your audience. We should not be using the word canonical. We should not be using the word rel lang. These are things that raise more wristwatches than eyebrows. We don't want to be doing that. What we should be doing is talking supply and demand. In fact, let's flip it on its head and call it demand and supply. So what does demand teach us? Demand teaches us actually a hell of a lot. Demand teaches us the keyword that people put into the search engine can teach us the intent behind what they're actually looking to accomplish, the specificity of the way in which they're looking to, what they're actually looking to find specifically, the language that they use, right, to find that, the frequency at which that language is used, and then the geography, both in the physical locations using MSV and so on and so forth, or even the geomodification of terms, right? And now there's a litany more things we can learn from demand, but I think it's very important to at least recognize those things, right? Now, this is incredibly important. I've said this forever. Nobody lies to their search bar. By the way, if there's anything you're gonna, go out there, tweet, put on LinkedIn, whatever, this is it. Nobody lies to their search bar. The search box is an engine of intention. You will tell the search engine things you would not tell your spouse, things you would not tell your mother, things you would not tell your therapist. This thing captures all of that. Now, for those who are laymen in this space, do not think that that means Stephan's queries are being looked at as Stephan. No, they're being anonymized and they're looked at in a much larger sense, but they are giving us direction, right? I think Aletis Solis put up today something about eyes hurt after looking at solar eclipse. And you can see the Google trend goes like, pew, up to the top. No one ever searched that before, but now all of a sudden it shoots up, right? One, because we're idiots and we don't listen to the news and we look at the sun without glasses, or the glasses we should. And two, because it's demand, right? And we need to understand that. So here's the thing about demand. We treat it kind of stupidly. And we've done that as SEOs for a really long time. Traditional SEO looks like this. It's you and them, and it's very, very egotistical. It's about how I rank and my competitor ranks and blah, 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 as if that is going to be the end all be all of organic visibility, right? So then we were like, hey, you know what? We've got them and we've got us. So let's add paid to the mix because, paid actually has budgets and they get headcount and they get everything we wish we had. And after all, it's keywords and it's the same search results. So why not, right? Flawed logic there is paid moves at a day trading rate and SEO moves at a 401k rate. So they're all stocks, they're all keywords, but the day you're not day trading, you're not making money. SEO is a compounding interest over time. It's hard to combine those two things. Not to say you can't, just to say that was one way of looking at it. Search insights, which is what I'm going to talk about today, is different. It's this idea of every aspect of the response that's given or the supply, the shelf in which the consumer is met is something. That something could be a publisher, it could be social, it could be a partner, it could be an affiliate, it could be a competitor, it could be a reseller, it could be so much, right? And the reality is we don't look at it just this way, we need to look at it this way. So we need to see the SERP as, if that's a single keyword that has a response, and funny, I don't even have search the SGE in here, but there'll be that as well in the mix. So we've got that, but now you multiply it times the number of words that make up a topic, right? And all of a sudden we're looking at a topic SERP. We're understanding what is the actual, who is answering, what type of content is spoken to this topic, right? Because the reality is to say someone's going to search one thing, one time, one way, see one set of results and be done, I don't think that's real. I think that's wishful thinking, right? So really, ultimately, when you think about search visibility, you need to think of it as topography, right? If your job is to plant flags to be seen, then you need to think about, well, is social an opportunity for me to do that? Is there a publisher opportunity for me to do that? Is there a partnership availability for me to do that? Where can I take this data? And by the way, it's not just as SEO, so you're going to see where the evangelism comes in. We need to think about how to build that into something bigger. So let's get after it. What we're going to do today is go into just some examples: social PR, display, video, partnerships, content, e-com, and biz dev. As you can see, there's not a lot of time to do it in. I've got about 20 minutes to kind of land all this, so hopefully it will. Let's go after it. So we're going to practice what we preach. We investigated 13,000 keywords plus that equaled about 9.7 million search volume for the term walking pads, right? So to give context, you are now the new SEO. Congratulations. This is now your role at StrideFlow Walking Pads, a fictitious company that, yes, I created specifically for this, which will show you how maniacally crazy I am about my decks. So we are going to go evangelize search because it's best to actually walk through something together rather than just give you guys theoretical stuff. We're going to put things in practice. So the first thing we're going to have to understand is what's a walking pad, what's a walking treadmill. Just so you guys have a sense, walking pads are essentially these walking pads, literally, that move up to about 4 miles an hour. They're not meant to be these running machines like a treadmill, right? You can walk on a treadmill, but a treadmill is much clunkier, bigger, larger, more industrial kind of thing. Walking treadmill, walking pad, kind of synonymous with one another, but you can see over time, take a look at this. Do you see the impact COVID obviously had on this product? A lot of the idea that we are at, this place where we need exercise. Hell, I don't know the last time I left this room. That's why I made it look like a Twitch, whatever, because I spend a lot of time in my office. So there's a need. And in fact, my thought was going to be to like walk on a treadmill this entire time. And then by the end, like point my camera down and be like, haha, guys, I've been walking the whole time. But no, I'm not that in shape. And frankly, I'm also not that focused. So let's talk about our target audiences. So our target audiences are fitness for beginners, right? So we're looking for entry level, ease of use. We found about 54 keywords in our set that were specific to that, about 10,000 search volume. Fitness enthusiasts is another one. So they're going to want advanced features, high performance, about 300 and something terms for it. Then we're looking at 100,000 search volume. That's getting larger, right? Elderly users, while it's a small group, right? Remember, the small search volume does not mean you overlook it. Specificity can be found in lower search volume, and specificity tends to equal conversion. So keep that in mind. Safety features, delicate on the joints, gentle performance, right? And then busy professional, yeah, because I'm the busy professional. Multitasking, saving time, staying fit, quiet, right? Because you don't want to hear me walking on it during our meetings. Not to say I have to hide it, but just to say, there's a lot of search volume obviously around that too, right? So where do they use it? They use it as a home gym. So they want it in their home, especially if you have an apartment. You don't have like a gym where you get to have this nice luxury house that gets an entire room just to be a gym. Home workouts, right? This idea of I am at home, I need to get my workout in. I don't like going to the gym and whatever, plenty of reasons for that. Office use, and then you'll notice workstation. Workstation was a set of keywords we recognized might actually mean corporate setting. So just being aware and breaking that out was kind of a smart way of thinking through, this process, right? And then why do they use it? So they use it for cardio, they use it for weight loss, they use it specifically to get rid of belly fat. So this is interesting, right? Rehab was another one, and then work fitness, like we got into there before. So this idea of like, look at all the demand we're starting to understand right now just by looking at our keyword sets to get to this stuff. So all of this is stuff you all can do today. There's no reason you can't do this. You probably do this to certain degrees. I think you should go further than the set of keywords that are traditional to your business and start thinking about, what is being produced by the publishers, what is being produced by the partners, what is being produced, and taking a look at those keywords and understanding and making your keyword set much larger, not because you're planning on ranking for all of it, but because you need to understand this theoretically, right? So the players, it's important to know who they are. Nordic Track is really the number one player in the space. You then have And now keep in mind, that's not the Joe Schmo weirdo brands you'll find on Amazon. I kind of didn't count them into this thing. So of the named ones, this is kind of the breakdown of what you can expect. Okay, Peloton, not really known for walking pads. Bowflex, Soul, and Proform. So let's target our first team. And this is going to be a soft target. Not really. This is not going to land huge. This is meant to be just an introductory. I want to ease you guys into this concept, right? So who owns page one clicks? These are the resellers. Basically, what this is telling me is that if I'm not reselling on Amazon, tough, right? It's also telling me that Walmart might be where I want to make sure my stuff is, right? I'll give you a quick story about this. I had a customer that was one of the biggest barbecue manufacturers in the world. And he told me one day that his CEO decided they would no longer be carried in Home Depot. And I said, okay, fair. But then I went and looked up what the barbecue page on Home Depot was doing, what their specific brand page on Home Depot was doing in terms of estimated volume and the keywords it was ranking for and all that. I brought it back to him and I said, hey, you know what? I don't know if your CEO made this decision with this in mind. And I'm sure there's 1,000 factors that came into his mind as to why he did what he did. But you may want to bring this information to him, just not as a naysay of what he's decided, but just to say, hey, I want to make sure you have this data at your disposal. If the shoe fits, wear it, cool. If not, throw it away. And the point is, what we do as a business needs to take into account how our resellers perform and how other entities perform. Their performance, by the way, if you saw a huge dip in Walmart under walking pads, well, then that might make you think differently as to whether or not Walmart's going to continue to have an online share of walking pads. Also, if you go further down in the percentages, you're going to find some interesting players that maybe the reseller team has never heard of. So we may want to bring those to bear as well. Product team. Yes, I told you I was maniacal. I actually built this product page. This is a product page for StrideFlow. Go with the flow. We've got our naming convention. All this is stuff I kind of put together, but I want you to look at it a little bit differently. Most of the time we look at product pages and we say, we say something to the effect of, okay, I'm going to make this rank for whatever the product kind of like very specific thing is. But I want you to realize that no matter what this ranks for, people's desires don't disappear, right? So just because this isn't the page that talks about reviews doesn't mean it shouldn't have reviews on it. Just because this is the page that isn't showing up for cost doesn't mean obviously the cost shouldn't be there. And by the way, we realized that people asking for treadmills under 500 was a very big deal. So bringing that to our product team and saying, hey, for pricing and packaging, you may be aware of this, but I just want to make sure you are. There's the price break that most people type into Google is $500 or less. They're looking up terms that have to do with walking treadmills or treadmills in general under 500. So there's an entire kind of design you could do there. Speed, that's a factor, right? Capacity. Okay, I can't tell you enough how much capacity is, and we'll get into that in a minute. By the way, at the top, I skipped over this. The idea of the naming convention, right? Can I convince them not just to call it the Stride F2, but rather the Stride F2 foldable mini walking treadmill? Why? Because I got foldable in there, I got mini in there, and I got treadmill in there. So you know what? That's not just useful for online. That's useful for when you're walking into Walmart and you see one of these things and you realize that a walking pad is actually a treadmill. I was able to get treadmill in the term. Mini, foldable. I've given you the aspects of what you'd be looking for in it. And then again, those key features, right? Foldable, remote, app, workout, quiet. All these things are important to users. Don't forget to put them on there. And by the way, I kind of screwed up because I think capacity is super important. And actually, a lot of people are looking to lose weight, right? We agreed to that previously. Now, if you're looking to lose weight and you're looking to use one of these products, but the capacity isn't enough for the weight you're at, or you're almost at that weight, so you're scared that if you gain weight, both in muscle rather than in fat, you are not going to be able to use your product anymore, that's a problem. So the ability, and it's funny, as I went through looking up my own, this was you can look back through my LinkedIn post, you'll see this entire diatribe I put online, which kind of was the impetus for this. The idea that, hey, you know what, if I can't find something that can support me, not that I'm that heavy, but that's an issue, right? Or the width of the running width of the pad. I want to know, if I step to the right or the left, I'm not going to fall off this thing. All this to say, when we looked at a competitor walking pad, They have a page devoted to 300-pound capacity. In fact, when we looked up all the terms that had to do with that, which were 55 terms for a 3.4 thousand search volume, right, of capacity of 300 or more, what you'll notice here is Walking Pad gets 8.9% of that share of page one. However, I don't know if this is meant to be an aspirational photo or not. This doesn't really speak to the guy that's 300 or the woman that's 300 pounds. I'm sorry. Like, maybe you don't want to see that, but at the same time, the realism of the situation you're in, to see this doesn't really make me think that this is the treadmill for me, especially if you said this has a capacity of 300 pounds, right? So food for thought there. Now, let's get to our social team. Anyone know about this little thing between Reddit and Google? So I'm bringing this up because it's super important, right? This is obviously Google and Reddit, so it's a little meta Reddit talking about the Reddit announcement. Essentially, Google and Reddit are not merging, but rather making this partnership where I actually think, to be honest, that if you look at Reddit's traffic over the past 2 years or more organically estimated, it has doubled in traffic organically. And that also makes them very beholden, by the way, to Google. Google also has started to feel the pinch of Reddit because Reddit has become this search engine in of itself, and people argue that if Reddit engineers could actually build a search engine themselves, they might really take a chunk out of Google. So this is kind of a defense, offense kind of model where they're like, hey, let me take Gemini, our AI model, Google, and we'll take Reddit's info and we'll help build that, like user-generated answers. So I think this is going to end up being like search generative experience, basically the SGE that you see at the top. I think a lot of that's going to come from Reddit. I think a lot of that dangerously may be opinion. I think there's going to be some interesting things, but in the meantime, I think we need to look at it. So best under desk, right? Who decides what the best under desk? 31,000 searches, 53 terms. Ooh, it didn't actually show up. That box did not show where it's supposed to show. So don't worry about it. Take my word for it. Reddit is the issue here. Actually, there it is, 15.68. So it's just the box is in the wrong spot. Anyway, things happen. New deck, who dis? Does anyone smell an opportunity? This is the page that actually shows up. Best under desk treadmill, 2023, 2024. I think that's a little lazy. Really, we're going to do 2 years with one. But what this does show is that we have the ability to advertise here. So is anyone paying attention to this? There's a standing desk community, an entire community of standing desks. What's a great accessory to standing desks? Walking treadmills. So 11,000 people that are members who probably should know about our product. Let's bring that to the table. You think this is an opportunity? How about now? This page actually gets 11,500 organic traffic per month. It has a cost of about 6.7 thousand to acquire. Here are the keywords that it ranks in the top 3 for. Many others also that go much further down, but I thought I'd just give you an example of that, right? So are we looking at things this way? Are we recognizing that like what the social person goes and answers those questions, gets involved in the conversations, looks at those questions, thinks about how to produce content based on the questions being answered, or the concerns being displayed, or the considerations people are doing? There is an entire search engine, I just told you, in Reddit, and that search engine's ranking in that other search engine, Google, and it's getting lots of organic traffic. And by the way, those page 1 rankings seem to be increasing. So are we taking that into account? We should. Now let's get to video and content. So YouTube matters, and it matters a lot in this space. In fact, across all the keywords we looked at, YouTube was 8.2% of page 1, right? It actually ends up being 559 keywords, 23,000 clicks, 283 unique URLs. Now, why does that matter? Because you should be looking at those URLs. Look what I found. I found a City Walks page. It's actually a channel. And this channel actually was showing up in our set to the tune of 2.6 thousand searches, 2,600, I should say, searches. But look at what's more important than actually its rank organically. Once you find it, look at those views. The videos themselves, the video I'm highlighting here has 36,000 views. This channel has 51,000 subscriptions. Do you know what's even more interesting? This thing is actually a channel of virtual walks through cities for people on treadmills. And you know what's even crazier? No one is sponsoring it. Ah! So this is a strategy right here. Like, we need to go back to the social team and hand this to them. They should come at us open arms and happy because we're giving them solutions, right? I'm not adding to their to-do list. Right now, a social person gets as a target. That social person actually gets dopamine and gets value and gets promotions for concepts like this. But if you go and ask people to do more shit, they're not usually going to be like, woo, I love you. But if you can tell them how to do, number 3, number 6, and number 8 on their 10 list, to-do list, and you can not tell them how to do it, but actually add value to those things, oh my God. Like, you will be their favorite person. In fact, look at this guy. So this fitness and finance channel, he shows up for 209 keywords, not that many clicks, but look at his views and look at his subscriptions. You think maybe with fitness and finance, we should do a collab piece about work from home? Sounds good to me. Let's get the video team on it. Let's get the content team on it. Let's go, right? This guy was just one of the 280 something or whatever number of URLs that was showing up in our YouTube list. So it's not just that it ranks well, it's that it gives you relevance. And so in finding that relevance, we should use that relevance to the advantage of our business. So now let's go to the display team. What if we do display differently? So right now, this page gets about 3,500 search traffic. It's got about 1,700 keywords it ranks for. It would be about $3,100 to get that traffic and paid. And obviously, I'm not in the market for an F-150, so it's kind of silly. But, Macy's is somewhere I've shopped, so, it's showing up. I get it. I'm being retargeted. That's fine. But this page is really about walking for weight loss. Right? And we can see how that would be relevant to our company, a walking pad company. In fact, I've already told you that weight loss and belly fat are things that people look up. So what if we changed it? What if the display spoke to the audience of search? We know this page ranks for walking for weight loss. Does weight loss help you lose weight? All this type of stuff. So what if we could actually answer these questions? Not directly, but obviously we're not a weight loss solution. I don't think we're allowed to market ourselves as one, or we want to be careful about that. But you start walking, we'll keep you going. No matter the distance, we're with you every step. These are marketing terms that actually will go alongside the content the person is reading. Isn't that more relevant than the F-150 or the Macy's kind of like, pay attention to me, that you're trying to do with display right now? I mean, I'm not guaranteeing it's going to add click, but it definitely should add brand, right? It should put brand in someone's mind that's relevant to what they're actually consuming. And that's the beauty, is we actually know what brought the people to this page. In fact, let's get into brand and PR off that. So this is a top ranking review page. Okay, does fairly well. It used to do better than it did. This is this place called Garage Gym Reviews. I'd never heard of it before. It's kind of interesting though. And so knowing this page performs well, I said, okay, let's look a little deeper. Well, this is my dude. This guy has EAT written all over him. So look at this. First and foremost, your blog post, really good if, and I know this is a your money, your life thing, but at the same time, I think it's really a good practice to have an author and then an expert verification, right? I think you need to make sure in the world that we're going towards, especially the AI content pushed out world, where people are looking for experience, expertise, right, authority, and trust. I think you need to take into account having expert verified content, and those experts can be really valuable. So if we dig into that expert and we see Anthony's written a lot of reviews for this company. In fact, we go to his LinkedIn and you can see he not only does reviews, he's also an SEO for them. So good on you, Anthony. Like, hats off. I actually sent him a LinkedIn message about this presentation, telling him I'd be doing this. But the reality is, let's say Anthony's available as a freelance writer, which oftentimes people that do become experts or writers for certain things are available. Would it be valuable to have him, a personal trainer, someone who's a nutritional coach, certified? Shouldn't he be a part of my expertise of what I'm building? Maybe. So Simon, he is not an AI. I know he's not an AI because I've gone back and forth with him on LinkedIn, and I don't think they'd go that far. But I will tell you, he's a pretty cool dude. He's got great experience. I love the fact that the photo there shows, before and after kind of thing. And I think it's a great example of experience. So here's another thing, right? Our PR team works super hard to get these placements, right? And if you look at this placement, man, if you got on the Today Show, right, not just literally on television, but actually on their website, wow, you could be seeing a lot of potential views. Now, the question is, are we going back to our PR team based on their placements and giving them a list of how they actually performed and what keywords they showed up for? Not because that was the full intention of what they did, but obviously they want to go and tell the executives what a great job they did. Now, do you think they're going to come back and tell us we've used the wrong term too many times? Or do you think they'd be more amenable to that if we've been helping them build the value of what they do, right? So helping people comes back to us. It's not a set expectation. You don't go, well, if I do this for you, you do this for me. That's not evangelism, right? But it is, that's horse trading. But this is more, ensuring that we are really providing value to others in our organization who are working hard at what they do, but we're adding value to that. Also, be careful. Sometimes you'll find things you don't expect. I found anti-walking pads. I don't know who's anti-walking, but you know what? No, actually, there is no such thing as anti-walking. It's actually to prevent your washing machine to walk across the floor. So look at your keywords. Sometimes you're going to find really interesting sets in there, things that you may or may not understand, and that's going to help you become a better person and marketer in terms of demand, right? You'll see what is, know what the negative space is, know where places you shouldn't be. Don't like keywords that have anti in them, right? It's not really anti. So let's do biz dev and partnership teams. This is interesting. We found a new target audience, pregnant women who are pregnant that actually want to stay in shape, right? 2,100 words, 18,000 search volume, specifically looking for walking pads. Very interesting. And then we can take it a step further. We actually found March of Dimes shows up for a page about walking while pregnant, right? And exercise during pregnancy. It has 10,000 organic visits to it. Keep in mind, that's just the organic side. Just because it's organic doesn't mean it doesn't have value in other places. I'm sure this page gets promoted via newsletters, via other things by them, and therefore has a lot more traffic. This is just the organic share of that page. But why wouldn't we want to create a partnership with March of Dimes for pregnant women? I mean, it kind of stands to reason, right? And if this space isn't really being captured by any of the walking pad companies, well, there's an opportunity. And yeah, we could also go back to our tried and true display on this case, right? Keep moving, mama. Why run when you can walk? So this idea is, is it safe to run while pregnant, right? All these people are asking this question on WebMD. Well, why shouldn't I be the one buying up all the retargeting on that page? Why shouldn't I be the one actually speaking to that without necessarily, I didn't say anything about pregnant, right? I said mama, but I didn't actually say anything about that. All I did was try to consider what the searcher who found this piece of content is thinking or going through as a problem, and how might my product solve that. That is the way we as marketers should be thinking. And SEOs need to start realizing that this is actually part of our job. It's not just to drive organic traffic to our websites. It's to recognize that there is organic throughout the world of online, and we need to take that into account as to where we place our bets as a business, therefore moving us more centralized in an organization rather than on the dark outskirts that SEO tends to live. So there is so much more, honestly. I don't have time to get into all of it today, obviously. These are all just examples of places I've been able to influence and impact different teams, whether it's investor relations, legal, customer service, and M&A, you name it. I've been there. I've made cases. We've even, I remember, I think in HR, we ended up with job placements and job boards, saving $500,000 for a company in where they place their jobs based on, search demand and search insights. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with this. Obviously, we won't get into any more of that today. So really, this is about search insights, a human connection. So what's next? VibeLogic. Trevor Stolber and I have put together a digital agency. This is my big news, that will be focused on search intelligence and a better understanding of what it means to be organic, search visibility, and all of that. We're super excited to do that. By all means, I hope you all will support us in this process. That doesn't mean just become clients. It means, consume our stuff, give us thoughts, give us feelings. We want to be an agency of the people and really build something awesome. So we are super excited about that. Thank you all. And if there are time for questions, I think there might be. Let's go.
Thank you so much, Stefan, for this conference and your energy. So yes, now it's time for questions and answer. We still have a few minutes. If Stefan doesn't answer your question, you can contact him on LinkedIn. So the first one is from Jordan. He is asking, how would you recommend we take SGE into account when doing SEO marketing product web pages?
Okay. So SGE. All right. This is a good question. And to be honest, everyone upvoted it and they're continuing to upvote it. Whoa. All right. We get it. It's a big deal. SGE is scary. And in all fairness, I think you need to treat this in the way that we should have been treating schema. Okay. You need to start thinking about what it is that's going to be consumed by the engines and how it's going to be structured. The better you can structure your content, the easier it will be for it to be interpreted by a machine. Right? So I think being systematic in that way and ensuring you're thinking through what are the elements. I'll give you a prime example. I think Will Reynolds and I were talking about this the other day. There was a some kind of a hospital, and he was like, yeah, the hospital decided that it would like not let ChatGPT, for example, crawl its site. So like robot texted it out and was like, no, not happening. Which of course they didn't realize that essentially Gemini crawls through the same searcher as Googlebot. So you can't really hide as much from that. But the idea is this was a hospital, right? And then it was annoyed that when you looked up doctors for that hospital, they wouldn't show. What I think we're going to start realizing is there's a in front of the wall and a behind the wall. There's going to be content you do not want Google to actually try and interpret in ways in which it can create, in all fairness, fancy search boxes, which is essentially what I see SGE as, with exception of product, right? Product, they start moving into the world of like trying to influence and doing things like that, which by the way, I don't think they're doing it super well. And is this going to be the savior of Google? I don't see it that way. I think Google will probably take a hit in the grand scheme of all this. Remember, we are still at the version of AI. So before people start making huge bets, I think the smartest thing you can do is small incremental things. Watch for changes, because those things, SGE is changing in of itself. They don't even know what it is until they put it out there. They're going to see the typical swing, right? Every time they put something out, it goes whoop, and then they over index, and then they bring it back, right? And then they bring it back to the center. So before you all go crazy and like Google Plus, no. Everyone chill out. We've seen this before, right? Slow down. Shiny object syndrome. Voice search. Slow down. Don't make too many major moves. Think about structuring content. That's good no matter what you do. Any feature that Google's going to come out with, or any search engine for that matter, needs schema. It needs an understanding of structural data. The more you can actually provide that, the better the signals are going to be towards whatever comes next.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stefan, for this answer. So the second one is from Sarah Rudge. She's asking you, how can we relate this to a media brand / marketing agency? I think it refers to your slide on StrideFlow with the product page.
Yeah. So, okay. How do you relate this to a media brand marketing agency? Well, the one I'm building right now with Trevor, definitely, right? But so it's this idea of, well, I want to buy I want to take, in the case of the product page, that was different. That was more like, how can UX UI use that information? This would probably be for, I'm assuming this question is more about the display and that type of stuff, in which case it's really the concept of you can go and buy fairly cheaply all retargeting for a given page, or specifically buy out a page, in which case taking that into account and asking your agency to do that on your behalf. They may think you're nuts, but you be nuts and then see if that has a different click through and visibility and all that. And you'll know, no matter what, that the people that actually saw that ad were searching for words you actually care about.
Thank you. The third one is from Andrea. So she's asking, what advice do you have for smaller businesses where there is one person acting as an entire marketing team, including content development and SEO?
Love it. The Jack/Jill of all trades. I know how this feels. And this sucks. I know how this feels. You're overwhelmed. You're supposed to move the traffic on your own website. Okay. Just like I talked about SGE, place your bets carefully. You do not have the luxury of a team, right? So if you're going to do social work, not social work, but you're going to do work in social, perhaps you should take SEO into account when you do it. If you're going to go off and obviously build content, you definitely have to have SEO at the beginning of it, right? And so I think what you do there is, what's your end goal? Is your end goal to always be that? Should your business only have one person? Is that true? Is SEO and frankly digital worth only that to your business, that one person should be doing this? The answer is probably no. Or you need to map out what that should look like. So how much money would the business need to be making to get someone fully devoted to content? What would I need to do to prove that business case? Then you need to get your boss engaged in that conversation and say, okay, if we're able to accomplish this, this, and this, and we recognize the opportunity as that, can we move in that direction? Because this business, not you, remember, this isn't about getting work off your plate. If it's looked as that, that's very self-serving, right? We're evangelizing, we're trying to help. I want the business to be more successful. In order for the business to be more successful, and me, for example, to be able to help run the department, or to be able to do more, to be able to focus more on the great stuff I do, I see the path forward, and this is what I see. No one's going to blame you for actually trying to move their business forward. In my business, you're sitting there and you're giving us ideas. I may not agree with you, but I sure as hell am going to be happy I have someone thinking about it. So be that person.
Super interesting. Thank you. So now from Marianne, what is the anatomy of helpful content? Here is the question you can see.
What is the anatomy of helpful content?
That's a good one.
Okay. I'm going to say that the extra E in eat is making a huge difference. That concept of experience. Now, I haven't figured out exactly how that's going to play. Like, how do you prove what's the language that proves I actually did that, right? I've been through it. Is it the fact that you have to be a certified professional trainer and certified nutritionist that actually warrants the fact that the content that you produce was truly helpful, it was experiential, it actually added value? I don't know, but I will say that, like, I have to believe, and I'm not an expert in this, and I'll leave this to Lily Ray and my friends over there who are far more into that concept of eat, but I will say that I believe that content does need to be more human-centric in understanding the problems and not just trying to answer the algorithms. And I know that sounds like a cheap out, but it's true, right? I think people make decisions with their hearts and their minds, and I think we also need to recognize that helpful content can't just live on our own website, right? If it's just us trying to rank and being that one answer within the experience of someone engaging our brand, our website is only one aspect of someone's engagement with our brand. We need to see helpful content as something that, like, we sponsor, we become partners with, we advertise on, it's not, you're not going to be the one who answers everyone's questions. So everyone needs to stop thinking about that and think that, like, what happens the day I rank #1 for all my terms? See ya. No, that's never going to happen, right? So the reality is, we as SEOs and moreover marketers need to recognize what a landscape looks like, how that needs to be taken into account to our overall marketing. And someone said it better, we should crown SEO. It is the true center of digital marketing. It is not the ranking of your own website. That is not the crown jewel of digital marketing. The crown jewel of digital marketing is having access to the world's psyche through the form of a search box and the ability to know what they see through the form of search results.
That's super clear. Thank you. Next, we have Brittany. What advice would you give to an SEO analyst working at a marketing agency trying to build an SEO department?
Okay, that's a great one. I'd say pick your battles. Don't try to be everything to everyone. If you all of a sudden are going to say, I'm going to do SEO audits and super technical, if that's what you guys are good at, do that. Slowly work your way into other forms, right? We started with keyword discovery. I had 2 people who started a process. We built a process. The keyword discovery team became 7 people. We had 7 people doing keyword discovery. We built automated systems to help us do it better, more efficiently, so on and so forth. And as we did that, we recognized we were awesome at that. Then we needed people that were amazing at audits and technical side. So we went off and hired some amazing people that could do that. And we made sure the people we brought in, by the way, when you make an investment and you're small, bring people on that can hit the ground running. If you bring on, I know the tendency is to go cheaper and someone I can train up. We trained up tons of people through. Those 65 people were not just people we went out and found. We grew them in Conductor. But Zach Kadish was grown through our process. He's on here. And I love seeing him speak on Search Engine Journal and at conferences. And it's amazing. Like, Zach was junior when he came on board, right? Now he's a conductor doing all this amazing stuff. Like, the point is, you don't just take the youngins, so to speak, and rear them. That's part of your process, and you build that into a process of growing your team, so you're not always going to the outside. But you do make sure that for key roles where you don't have the experience internally, you hire the right person that knows how to do the job and can come in on day one, even if it's their process, implement it and start moving. You don't have time to work it into your system and all that. That's stuff that you'll work on the business, not in the business later on.
Thank you so much, Stephan. So that was the last question. Next, we will have the next conference that you can see with Chris Philp and Corentin Mirande. The conference will be from local to global, grow your business by mastering SEO. It will be in a few minutes, so you will receive an email from Livestorm to access it. If you have any problems joining the conference, you can contact us via support the SEO Square website. And again, thank you so much, Stephan, for your time, your energy. And I think that you're available on LinkedIn if some of the participants have any questions.
Yes, please, guys, hit me up on LinkedIn. Throw some social love at me. Would love to see that when this conference recording comes out. Please share it with people. Again, evangelism. It's not about me. This is not about my business. This is about making sure that people and SEOs feel seen, they get it, and they're not alone. Right? Thank you all for
so
your time
much.
today.
Bye. See you
Thanks.
guys.